I actually love it when we get them too spicy and the kids won't eat them because I'm just like, sweet. I just got two more hot dogs.
Hot dogs. This is the Exploring the National Parks podcast with Dirt in My Shoes. My name is Ash, and I'm a former park ranger and the founder of Dirt in My Shoes. I think that the parks are best seen from the trail, and I'm here to make national park trip planning easy.
And I'm John. I carry the kids on the trails, I tell stories, and notice all the things that Ash doesn't care about much, like birds.
Join us as we show you around America's spectacular national parks.
We're sharing our favorite places, fun facts, adventures, and misadventures.
And we'll even throw in a little trip planning.
Let's start exploring. Once again, we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics regarding our travels and the national parks. Food. Food, one of my favorite things to talk about.
We eat a lot of food. This is part 2, so we do have another episode that is part 1.
Right.
You can listen to them separately. They're not connected in any way, except it's all just food.
Right. I think Jim Gaffigan has a really funny bit about vacations, and how it's just basically your travel to eat, basically. Yeah. It's like, all right, so we're gonna eat breakfast, and then we'll go there and eat lunch, and then he has a really funny way of putting it, but basically traveling, a big part of travel is all about food. It makes your trip so much better when you have good food around.
So we're going to do this. We're going to talk about 2 really good places that we love, and then one that is a little bit not as good.
Right. A little bit of a letdown.
Which I feel like on this episode, I am going to get roasted for my letdown. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are not happy with this one. So,
yes.
But let's start with the good.
Yes.
First, we are taking you to the Oregon coast in Astoria, Oregon, which is right next to Lewis and Clark National Historic Park.
Right.
So this is...
So it counts.
It does. It does. We went to Fort Clatsop, which is part of the Lewis and Clark National Historic Park.
Right.
And John is just a lover of all things Lewis and Clark, like the westward expansion, all of that.
It's so interesting. Their journey was so cool. And at Fort Clatsop is where they spent the winter. They went up the Missouri, they crossed the Great Mountains, and then they made their way back, continuing west down the mountains and over towards the Pacific Ocean. And before they could go back east, they needed to resupply. They needed to wait for the snow to melt off the mountains before they could manage to take it again. And so they spent, I think, 4 months or so, at Fort Clatsop. And they have this really cool recreation of the fort. And they've got some really neat interpretive rangers there that will even do like black powder rifle shooting, so they can show you what it's like.
Stuff, yeah.
They have some really cool things there. And anyways, but Lewis and Clark, they spent a whole lot of time just getting salt that they could trade for at Fort Clatsop and making moccasins for their feet. But it's a really neat place.
And so is Astoria.
Yeah, and so is Astoria.
This town right where the Columbia River goes into the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
So there's just water everywhere.
Right.
And Astoria is really cool. And Astoria also has maybe my number 1 seafood restaurant in the country,
which is a huge claim because we have a lot of favorites,
and we eat a lot of seafood.
We do.
But this is the South Bay Wild Fish House in Astoria. And what I think is cool about it is that South Bay, that's actually the name of this family's vessel. They're commercial fishermen, but they have this big vessel that they take out. And then in their restaurant, it's like pretty much everything on the menu is freshly caught.
Which is so good.
So, I mean, how does it get better than that? It doesn't. It doesn't. Like, they literally caught the sole fish that morning, and then they're serving it for dinner that night.
Right.
So,
which is so good. And I kind of have a rule that my son, my oldest son, quotes to me all the time, because we'd be in a place like in the middle of the country, and he'd be like, "Ooh, fish and chips," and I'd be like, and he'd be like, "Why shouldn't I get fish and chips, Dad?" And I have this internal rule of mine where I'm just like, I only get seafood if I'm like within 100 miles of the coast.
Yeah. And now our son quotes that to us because I order salmon all the time. And he's like, Mom, we're in Kentucky, so you probably shouldn't order salmon.
How do you think they got that here? You know, it's just funny. But no, I mean, when you're in Astoria, you can see the water. And so...
Well, and there's this really cool river walk that you can walk down. We listen to live music down there. But yeah. And then you've got a South Bay, which is delicious. They do get really busy. They do have to cut off their line. If it's close to closing time, we saw a lot of people getting turned away last time we were there.
Yeah.
I love pretty much everything. You can't go wrong. But the clam chowder was so good. Ceviche, we almost always get ceviche.
That's mostly because of me, because I love ceviche.
Yeah, it's so good. Fish taco, like their fish tacos are really good. They have crab and shrimp cakes that are really good.
Yeah.
Everything's really good. So that is one to add to your list. You probably don't have Lewis and Clark National Historic Site like actually on your list of places to go,
right,
as a specific vacation. But we like to stop there when we're heading, like if we're doing the Pacific Northwest, when we're heading from like Crater Lake up to the Washington parks.
Right.
You can just kind of cut over to the coast, which you should anyway. I mean, the Oregon coast is so pretty.
Right.
But from Crater Lake, if you cut over to the coast and then head up the coast, you'll hit Astoria like right before you cross into Washington to go to those Washington parks. Yeah. So that's a really good time to add in Fort Clatsop and the South Bay Wild Fish House.
Yeah, baby.
Okay. Number 2, really, really good food near the national parks.
Not within 100 miles of the coast.
Nope, because we're not doing fish. We're doing hot dogs. So in Tucson, Arizona, which is right in between both sections of Saguaro National Park.
Yes.
So you'll drive through Tucson as you're going between the east and west districts of Saguaro. You need to stop and get Sonoran hot dogs.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
This is a thing.
Yes.
It's a thing in Tucson.
A very specific thing. I think we first saw this on like the Great Food Truck Race or something like that. And
we
they had
saw
like
on one of the Food Channel shows.
Yeah, they were in Tucson, and then the main guy was like, he called them on the phone. All right, you guys, you have a challenge. You have to somehow make your own version of a Sonoran hot dog. And
we're like, what are those? Those sound good. We like hot dogs.
I've never heard of that. And they're like putting beans and bacon.
Okay, yes. So a Sonoran hot dog is a bacon-wrapped hot dog with pinto beans, tomatoes, onions. It's on like a sweet roll. So it's not a regular hot dog bun. And then they like drizzle over like this mayo sauce.
Yeah.
And mustard. They're oftentimes a little bit spicy.
Right. You can get them spicier or more mild.
Yeah.
And you know, we have, especially if you have kids, you got to be careful.
I know, our
that.
kids always whine about that too.
I actually love it when we get them too spicy and the kids won't eat them because I'm just like, sweet, I just got 2 more hot dogs.
Hot dogs. So we've tried a bunch of places. My top 3, so you've got El Guero Canelo. I don't know if that's how you say it, but that's how it's spelled. So there we go. That place is really good.
That was really good.
In fact, that was my favorite place until we went to Tucson this last spring and found a different place.
Yeah.
Which I think was better, but it was a little bit spicier.
Which meant that I got to eat more of them.
Yeah, it felt a little more authentic. So I'll talk about that one. So I love El Guero Canelo, and then BK Tacos is the other kind of big one in Tucson.
Right.
But I think I prefer the other one.
The El Guero Canelo.
Yeah, over BK.
They're kind of the 2 powerhouses of Sonoran hot dogs.
You got to try both and see which one you like. It's a healthy competition that's been going on for a long time. But this last time we went there, we went to, and I'm going to butcher this. I'm so sorry. I don't speak Spanish. El Sinaloense.
I think that was pretty good.
We'll link all of these in the show notes so that you actually know what we're talking about. The only way I can say it is like with an Italian accent. Yeah.
El Sinaloense.
Yeah, I don't think that's it. But this place was really good. It tasted really authentic. The flavors were smokier.
Yeah, I think so.
It was so good. A little bit spicier. So the kids were like, they ate it, but they were like, my mouth is burning.
Yes, which is super funny as a dad because I always try to get them to try spicy foods, and I love to see them, Well,
you're
suffer.
in the Southwest, so A lot of your food is spicy, but that was really, really good.
Oh.
So,
and that was just a food truck. That's not even a food truck. It's just kind of like a stand, a food stand.
Yeah. I mean, when you pull up to these restaurants, sometimes you're like, I don't know. I think I might not survive this meal. Food poisoning. But do it anyway. It's so good.
Yes.
It's very authentic.
Yes, they're so good. They don't have that P.F. Chang's vibe.
Nah, not that classy. So, but yeah, I mean, when you're in the Tucson area, you've got to try Sonoran hot dog. That's just the thing.
Yep.
And it was funny, actually. My sister used to live down in that area a little further south, and we were the ones who told them about the Sonoran hot dogs.
Right.
They didn't know that was a thing.
Right.
So we're extending that courtesy to you, our friends.
Yes.
To say it is a thing.
You're welcome.
And it's something you need to try while you're in Tucson.
Yeah. And it's something that is hard to recreate.
It is. We've tried. It's not as good.
Both of these, well, not both of them, but the Sonoran hot dogs and the ceviche are things that I've tried to recreate and have really failed. And the Sonoran hot dogs just turn out to be like just bacon wrapped hot dogs, and they don't have that spicy smokiness to them.
Yeah,
they have.
Just pay the $3 and get yourself a real Sonoran hot dog.
Right. And after my first taste of ceviche, I was like, I have to try to make this. And anyways, all I will say is that I tried to make it with canned tuna. And it was awful. So bad.
John is not a chef, so
I am not. Get them where they are at their best. And these two places are where these foods are legitimately at their best.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to take you on a quick break from the podcast because I want to share something that has turned out to be really fun for me and the family. I'm talking about the free Dirt in My Shoes National Parks checklist. As simple as it sounds, this list of the national parks has become something I really love to look at. Organized by state and with a little checkbox next to each of the national parks, this checklist has become something of an adventure diary for me. With all the national parks listed on one page, it makes it easy to see what adventures I've had and which ones I have to look forward to. After you put yours up, I think you'll find that you have way more invested in it than you originally realized. And it will turn out to be more rewarding than you expected. Try to put it up in a somewhat visible space, because you'll find yourself having conversations that sound like, "Ooh, do you remember when we went there? That was so cool, let's do it again." Or, "When do you think we'll make it there? That sounds like so much fun, let's go there next year." You'll find that it's pretty good at making adventure buddies out of the people that matter most. Besides, you bought those hiking boots for a reason. You might as well get credit for where they've been. To get your own free Dirt in My Shoes National Park checklist, click on the link in the show notes below or go to our website, dirtinmyshoes.com/podcast.
Let's jump to the not so good.
The letdown. Womp, womp, womp.
I know. I'm going to get in trouble for this one. Okay.
Okay, but I will say, in Ash's defense, she is a donut connoisseur.
I am. I get donuts everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
Everywhere.
Anytime we're in a place that has a donut shop, she feels the need for speed to get donuts because...
Well, last time I went to Nashville, and we went to Nashville and Mammoth Cave, and I spent so much time looking for a good donut there.
Mm-hmm.
A cronut does not count. That is not a donut. And then, there was... anyway, I never found one. So if any of you live in that area and know of, a real... it has to be a real donut,
mm-hmm.
let me know. Because I was sorely disappointed in that area, which has really good food, by the way.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, I tried donuts everywhere. Everywhere. I had a problem. We're going to Shenandoah National Park, out the northern end of Shenandoah.
Right.
There's a little town called Linden, Virginia. And there is a restaurant called the Apple House.
Mm-hmm.
And it's everything apple. And it's so cute.
And I love Apple stuff. Yeah. Everything Apple stuff I am all about.
It's very well done. People come here from miles around to come to the Apple House. They have food and stuff. But what they're really popular for is their apple butter cinnamon donuts.
Mm-hmm.
And you can imagine my elation when we were at Shenandoah and I find out there's a famous donut shop.
Yeah.
Just outside of the park. Oh, yeah. I was there in a heartbeat.
We were salivating over these donuts for days in anticipation.
Okay. And then we get there And I tried it and I was like, it doesn't taste like it was not apple-y enough for me.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. I've been thinking a lot, like long and hard about this because I don't want to disappoint people
Right.
with my less than stellar review. But for me, because they make it out of apple butter, I think it was too subtle of a taste.
Mhm.
I wanted it to have more like apple cinnamon flavor.
It was more of a cinnamon, just like a cinnamon donut.
Yeah. Yeah. Not to say it wasn't good, but I was expecting more apple. And so I did feel a little disappointed that I didn't get more apple.
Yeah.
So that is not to say that you shouldn't go try it yourself. You should go try it yourself. And if you disagree with me, I'm fine with that.
Yes.
And you can send me a message and tell me that I'm wrong. That's totally fine. But I just feel like if you're going to say it's an apple donut, it should just taste a little more apple-y.
Yeah.
I was expecting more of like an apple fritter type taste, I think.
Yeah.
With like some apple chunks.
Yeah, well,
or
an apple
something.
fritter tastes more apple-y.
Oh yeah, I love apple fritters.
Yeah.
So yeah,
good.
so I think just the apple butter, it was just too subtle for me. And
We're not into subtle.
No.
Hit me over the head with an apple.
Yeah. If it's called the Apple House, I want it to taste really apple-y.
Right.
So that was a miss for me, but a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people really love that place.
Yeah.
And you should try it while you're there. It won't be a wasted trip.
No.
But I would like to know if you agree or disagree with me if you've been there.
But either way, now you know about it. So try it for yourself. But maybe don't. Is that why we're doing this?
Do it.
Is that why we tell them about is that why we tell them about the letdown so they don't try it?
No, I guess I just wanted to let you know that I was disappointed with my donut.
Management's gonna send us
I know.
a mean note.
I know.
Excuse me.
Don't send it. I respect your establishment. Just add more apple flavor.
Yes.
Okay. So those are our 3 picks for this episode. On that note, but hopefully you can try some of these things if they're close to you, or you can build them into your trip, because what is a road trip without good food?
Thanks for exploring the national parks with us.
Please share, like, and subscribe. And if you need any help planning your own trip, click on over to dirtmyshoes.com.
See you next week. Same time, same place.
And don't forget to get some dirt in your shoes.